There we go. So that's me, with the weird guy bugging me for a day in San Francisco. And I've been working at Mojang before for a year. And now I've also worked for 4 years at the Swedish Games Industry as a project manager, with stuff surrounding events and network and education, human resources, startups and stuff. We're 4 people, so that's why you do different things. So I work for this trade association. It's a non-profit organization for game developers. And here are some of our members. For example, DICE, you see here to the left. They make Battlefield and Star Wars Battlefront game and Mirror's Edge and stuff. Of course, Mojang, they're in the middle. We have Landfall Games, Petter here, in the front of the audience. They make a game called Tabs, or Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, which has blown up on YouTube as a big thing. We have Tokeboka. I don't know if do people have kids? Anybody with kids? You're too young for that, probably. But they make kids games, like Taka, Hair Salon, Taka, blah blah, like a series of these games, and they're second biggest on iOS actually after Disney, which is pretty cool. And then other AAA games, we have Division by Massive down in south of Sweden, Mad Max from Avalanche that also do the Just Cause series, and previous to that, other titles, AAA titles. Petson. I don't know if do you have Petson of Findus as a book series for kids here? No. Yes. Yeah, you do. Okay, cool. So they also make kids games, and then of course strategy games by Paradox Interactive. So that's a few of our biggest, or right now most profiled members. So I want to know more about who you are. Who here have developed games more than 3 years? More than 5 years? More than 10 years? Okay, cool, nice. So a few of you are like veterans. So this is our president of the Swedish Games Industry, the association. Somebody recognize where this is? What is it?
Sweden?
No, this is Times Square. So yeah, where it is, right? So this is the chairperson of our association, and I just like this picture because it's like if there was a capitalistic Pokemon, this would be its final form, sort of. Kind of weird things has happened just in the last 3 years. So 2 years ago, this happened. And I told my colleague, like, oh, this is so crazy, we're working in an industry that's growing this much. And like this might be just once in a lifetime thing, right? Mojang is bought by Microsoft for like huge amounts of money, more than Volvo, you know, the crown jewel, or like the gem of Swedish enterprise. And this was sold for more money than Volvo to Chinese Geely. And of course I was wrong about this, because a year later Activision bought Candy Crush, or King, actually, as a mobile developer, because they didn't have a mobile department properly, so that's probably why they bought them. Just my interpretation. Nobody actually knows, you have to ask Activision, of course. But so our industry has been growing a lot, 39% annually in the past 10 years, as like a average. And so where did this all start? We actually have to go back to like biblical times, with pen and paper role-playing games that grew big in the 70s and 80s in Sweden. We had this Drakar och Demoner, which is like sort of a rip-off of Dungeons and Dragons, but it's actually, people think it's a lot better in many ways, like system-wise and stuff. So people back then learned how to become game game developers actually through this, or game designers from creating adventures. You had to create a scenario for your friends. You had to, counter how they handle different situations. You had to make all these systems and make it interesting and make, a level for them to pass through and such. So that was like the baby steps of game designers in Sweden. We had this, home computers, of course. What grew big was the Commodore 64, of course, like most of Europe. And we also had a tax cut on home computers in the early 90s, which helped out a lot for the, kids to learn and get the computer into their room. So eventually this grew, and there was a scene building of a demo scene growing up. And we got stuff like this. So this is a super cool demo or it was back then. I still think it's super cool. I thought this was the coolest thing I've ever seen as a kid. And this is actually from the demo group that later became DICE, what today is DICE. And there was also other demo groups that made stuff like this. They pretty much made graphics and cool music to it and tried to push their computers to the maximum. And other companies came out of this is Starbreeze and UDS, and yeah. And the first game that came out of the scene was this, Pinball Dreams. Anybody play that? Yay! So that was a C64 game made by DICE. And then these other two companies also were founded out of this scene. But it actually didn't hit off here totally for the Swedish Games Industry. Where it hit off was here.
Hej, jag heter Mulle Mac. Vill du bygga bilar med mig? Skriv ditt namn så kan vi sätta igång. Har du byggt förr så klickar du på ditt namn i listan.
Anybody recognizing this? Did you play this here? No? So this came out in the late 90s. I think it was 99. And it became so popular. They tried to make like multimedia titles. So there was supposed to be a book for kids, supposed to be like a TV series, and this game, and other kinds of stuff, like board games. But this was the big hit, the game for CD-ROM, so you could actually have voiceover. And it was even though you might judge it now, but it was super high production values. The voiceover here is one actor from the Royal Dramatical Theatre of Stockholm. The art is made by one of the most beloved kids books artists. And they really made an interesting game out of this concept. So this guy, Mulle, he's a hoarder, and he's just collecting like scrap stuff. And you're just thrown into his place here out in the forest, in the outskirts of some small village. And you just collect like scrap parts, and you try to make a car. Because the story is he has a road leading up to his house, and he figures like if the road ends here, there must be another end to this road somewhere else. So I'm going to try that out. That's the story. So you just go around here, you click on things, and you drag them into the garage, and you try to put it together. And this became a huge hit. Like I said, they sold hundreds of thousands of copies in the north of Europe, and they made a building airplane game, a building train game, and stuff. And this is still sort of a series today, but not as big as back then. But what's interesting if you look at the mechanics here, it resembles a very popular game today. You collect parts, you build something. Eventually, when you have something, you can try it out. He will now try it out, and see if he can get somewhere with this car. He probably forgot something crucial, like maybe a steering wheel or something. That's usually how it goes in the beginning. And you'll just get some feedback, very simple feedback of how it went. But this was like very encouraging, and eventually you get out on the road, you meet up with some obstacles. It's like Zelda-esque puzzles where you like, oh, there's a cow on the road, so I need a horn to scare it away, whatever. What I'm trying to come to is that it resembles this. You just go around collecting parts, you explore, you take the next step. Of course, this is online, this is way more creative, and it's, of course, a much more popular game because you have all heard about this. Minecraft, of course. So, a few success factors for the industry from Mulle Meck to today is Mulle Meck was with a home audience or a European audience, localizing for like small countries. But today, success factors are that we're born globals. So they pretty fast figured out that they don't want to do games for just Swedes or for Swedish kids, but for the entire world. And growing up with popular culture and stuff, you are born global, like you guys are. Like everyone here speaks proper English, and knows we have the same jokes, same memes, and that's a big success factor for making games. We can also be passionate. Big passion. If you just look at like Marcus Persson making Minecraft, he did that out of his passion for games, and he had a day job at King and other places just to make his passion work. Swedish developers are usually, they have a quite good education from school. At least the education focus on team effort and teamwork. And the team is always culturally in Sweden above, like the team is before the individual. And this is kind of taught through all these projects in school. We also have long winters, which is good for making games. We're early adopters of pop culture, which you can see in other places. So that's a thing that Swedish game developers have as an advantage. We also have a flat organization culture, or jantelagen, like a law of jante. If you've been to Norway or Sweden or Denmark, we have this in common. Let me try to play this. Maybe I can do it with this. No, I can. There we go.
The Swedes are an extremely equal people. There are no hierarchies here. The Swedes prefer a so-called flat organization.
Can I tackle my command? Yes, Captain. That is if you feel like it. I mean, I don't have to decide everything all the time. You want to make a decision?
Go maybe to Ingrid's turn.
Okay.
Ingrid, you want to attack? You want to attack?
We should have a group discussion about that.
That's a good idea. We should bring in Lasse. Yes.
Lasse, you want to attack?
It doesn't matter who you are, the same rules apply to everyone.
We have three main concerns to discuss with you.
Someone forgot to put this coffee cup in the dishwasher. Oh, it says Fredrik on it. Maybe it's yours, Fredrik.
But the dishwasher was full.
So you empty it. Your mother doesn't work here, Mr. Prime Minister.
You have to excuse me, I must attend to this.
What if Angela Merkel comes?
Da gick stycket där gick
Yeah, so that's Sweden. And this is sort of the case in the Swedish games industry as well. We know from friends in other companies that like the CEO is buying like toilet paper and doing like accountant stuff that he should just hire somebody to do. And like culturally, this is actually an advantage in game making because you will be open for criticism, and anybody at the company can say if they think this is shit or if they think this is good or if we should maybe have a new idea, or so people speak up, and that's very, very good. So to summarize, like here's a timeline. You can look this up on a report coming up soon. It just came out in Swedish. It's being translated to English now. But in the 50s, 60s, the first computers was used to just do stuff for fun, which they sort of can interpret as a game, like there was a thing moving, shooting at other things. And of course in the 70s with video games in the home, and yeah, you can read up about this. We have it all in the report later. Today, the Swedish Games Industry has a turnover of 12.3 billion Swedish kroner. So that equals to 1.2 billion euros, and about 4,000 people working in it. And it looks like this. It's most localized in Stockholm. You see the blue thing there. The next biggest is second biggest is Malmö and Gothenburg, and then we have Skövde there, a small university city where Petter and a lot of other cool devs actually have their education in game design, game programming and stuff, which helps. Oh, that was another that. And here's the division between mobile and PC. We're still very PC heavy if you compare it to, for example, Finland or other parts of Europe like England. And we also have middleware in like a wide variety, which I guess lowers risk on if you look into the future of what might happen to mobile or PC or other platforms. You can read about this in this Spelutvecklarindex 2016, or it will be Game Developers Index. It will be in English like in a few days or a week. You can look it up on our website, dataspelsbranschen.se or swedishgamesindustry.com. So we also, how much time do I have left? Is anybody keeping track? A few minutes, cool. So I just want to tell you about a project we're doing now. We have this thing called DVC. It's a diversity effort, just another non-profit thing for developers and education and game communities. So like people writing about games, people playing games, and together we try to make a better place for everyone in the games industry. We all have an effort right now about sending more women to GDC. So we have, if you're a female developer or non-male developer at all, you can sign up and try to get a scholarship to go to GDC. It opened yesterday, so you can ask me afterwards about that, and I can hook you up. So yeah. As a summary, I just want to say to all hardworking devs and like indies out there, just try to dig where you stand. It's an old Swedish expression, or when you're in a hole, don't stop digging. Like you could feel with being an indie, a new indie out there. But yeah, try to take advantage of where you are and what knowledge you have, and meet other people. So yeah, thanks.
Thanks very much. We have a couple minutes for a couple questions, if there are some.
Thank you for your presentation. I also have a question related to tax breaks or finances, or based on government support or like city support. Are there anything is done in Sweden to encourage the industry?
Zero. We literally have nothing since the tax cuts or tax breaks on home computers in the 90s. They have done nothing for our industry, pretty much. Unfortunately, like if you look at that kind of stuff, no benefits, or there's no people from abroad going to Sweden or starting up in Sweden for those kind of benefits. They only do it for talent. So no. Not yet, but we're working on it. I'm a lobbyist for the games industry, so that's what we're trying to do.
Any more? Okay, if you can catch Anton, I guess today for sure, and then tomorrow, early in the morning for sure. So yeah, try to talk about the Swedish industry. Awesome Swedes. I read somewhere that, oh, you Swedes, you make such a good music. So now it's probably the same you can say about games. So thanks very much. And for the others,
Thank you.